Many companies are in need of funding, and unfortunately, due to the crisis and everything we're going through, bank loans are not really as much available as before. And many entrepreneurs are considering investment opportunities. So they are acquiring investors to believe in their project and to fund their expansion plan and or startup ideas. The important part of this video is to shed the light on the 50-50 approach. This is a very common wrong behavior, technically speaking, where I see a lot of people saying, okay, so I'm good at doing this product or service. The other person is good at bringing the money on the table, and let's meet together and we split the profits 50-50. It could work in some areas. However, it's not really the case most of the times. What is the best way in this regard? I'm not going to discuss in details now the valuation techniques, but what is really important is to have a proper valuation for the company to really estimate what's the real value of that company. And then we study what's the contribution of each partner to be able to calculate the number of shares accordingly. So at this level, you have to understand two things. There are different valuation techniques. I will not discuss them in details, but of course, the rule of thumb, I call it the rule of thumb because it's not really a technique which is multiplying the last turnover times 5 or 10. This is just a very basic technique which doesn't really reflect the true value of the business, especially if it's a startup which doesn't have any turnover anyway, or if it's a services company like which doesn't really have yet a turnover or big assets and so on. So the other technique is usually the net worth, which is calculating assets minus liabilities, which is also in many cases not really applicable because the value of the company would be ridiculous. And the better technique is to make the forecast and discount the cash flows. We're going to discuss all of this in details in a later video. But when you agree on the assumptions and you make the right forecast with different scenarios and you discount the valuation to time zero, the cash flow to time zero, you get the real valuation, and then you can negotiate the assumptions but not the value. Okay, so once you agree on the value, the next step would be is to agree on the contribution of each person. So whether they are contributing in money, or they are contributing in time, or with their experience, or with their other resources that they can put. This is where you really calculate the real contribution of each partner, and then accordingly the shares of each partner. The third point, which is very important to keep in mind, which is what's the added value of each and every partner. If it's only money, it's important, but it's not the most important contribution, because one partner could add much more value than just the money. They can add connections, they can add opening new markets, they can add their expertise, they can add a lot of insights and a lot of added value, or maybe resources that are very, very valuable to the table. So it's very important to really not be just excited to get any investor on board, because an investor will be your partner. An investor will be your, it's not easy really to get out of an investor or to get out of a partnership. So what is better to be on the safe side is to really calculate that valuation, calculate the contribution of each and every partner, and discuss and agree in written on each role and on each partner's added values. Okay. Having said this, of course, the valuation will be different, the contribution will be different, the partnership will be different, and you set the right expectations again in written for the future. And this is where you save a lot of problems along the way. And this is where you focus on really expanding the business instead of solving problems with the partners and so on. I hope this video was helpful, and we look forward to evaluate businesses, and really, because it takes a lot of in-depth techniques to be able to do that. We're going to discuss that in other videos, but it's very important whether you are selling your business, whether you are acquiring investors, whether you are so we can really use whether you are doing merger and acquisition. There are so many ways or so many tools, even for succession planning, when the business is moving from one generation to another. And we need to understand what's the real value of the business, how to split the roles, how to split the value between different partners in the new generation. So all of these require a proper valuation. So please forget about the 50-50, because again, it's a 50-50 chance that the business will fail.